Okay, everybody. So I've got a brilliant new influencer to talk to next. So this time we're going over to America, to North Carolina. So I'd like to introduce you to Mathew Diaz, who is a health coach and life coach. As I said, he's in North Carolina, which is in America. And thank you very much, Mathew, for coming on the show. It's great to have you on here because you do a lot of great things similar to myself, and also you're really good in what you promote and what you put on your Instagram show. So, and you also do podcasts and things. So, thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome. If I take a second or two to respond, there's a time lag. I just wanted to make sure the audience knew about that. I'm not going to be just pausing and staring at the camera for 3 seconds because I'm, hard of hearing or anything like that. So.
Brilliant, thank you. So yeah, if you could just tell the audience a bit about yourself and introduce yourself, that'd be fantastic.
All right. So my name is Mathew Diaz. I'm in North Carolina currently, and I am a health coach, a life coach. Basically, I do an integrative model of health coaching that encompasses functional medicine testing and a bunch of different modalities of natural medicine. I don't cure, treat, or diagnose disease. That's my, I got to make sure my disclaimer is up here too.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Thanks for introducing yourself. So welcome to the show. So on this show, we help parents that are often tired or stressed out and they don't have a lot of time to look after their health as much as they should do. And as parents, we are responsible for keeping our family going. And at the end of the day, we're the one who's responsible. And if anything happens to us, then the rest of the family are affected. So sometimes we need to be selfish and put ourselves first. And often we don't have time to learn about the nutrition side and the immune system and how to. There's so many different things, aren't there, that we could learn about, but we don't have time to learn about. So these shows are great for that. And thank you for coming on the show. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions because you do great podcasts. And one of the things that I really enjoyed looking at one of yours was you did on the subject of the big why that go behind symptoms. So in the UK, we call it the why under the why. So that's a great subject, the why behind the symptoms. So if you could just talk a bit about what that means for our audience and how it relates to certain different symptoms.
Yeah, that'll be good. As it comes to health, it can be really complicated, like you said. And a lot of people don't have time to research this stuff. So one of the things I want to say before I talk about some of like the energy issues when it comes to health and being a parent is to get a coach. That's a very good shortcut for not having to study. It doesn't mean that you have to automatically pay someone, but you can be around certain people and absorb their content at your in your free time. A lot of coaches will answer questions for free, and just reach out. Everyone. I think it's human nature to want to help other people naturally. So I think you're going to get a lot of free value if your finances aren't there yet to have a one-on-one coach. So when it comes to energizing, being a parent, I think there's a few things in mind. So from the life coaching perspective, not knowing how to communicate with your kids and your spouse is a big energy drainer, I think. And so getting better at communication might free up a lot of not only like physical energy, but mental energy. I think we only have so much bandwidth with all our different distractions that we have with our little where's my smartphone? There it is. There's these smartphones that are really good at just really whittling down our attention span, but they're also good, effective tools. So communication, really having goals and aspirations can also be a good energizing component. I want to pause and make sure that I'm answering your specific question, that I'm still on target, because sometimes I get a little distracted. Am I still good?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, still talking about the why behind symptoms. Yeah.
There you go. I thought I lost it. Okay, so why behind the symptoms? So yeah, so a good thing was what I was just speaking about. Why are you feeling de-energized? Why are you losing, focus or anything like that? It's because there's a lot of underlining things that could be happening that you're not paying attention to. That's draining you. That's like taking up your bandwidth. So so yeah, so there's the smartphones, it's the computers, it's the lack of good communication. We're not really taught how to take care of our bodies, right? So if we have our immune system, that's another thing we talked about. We talked a little bit before the show started, was that your immune system could be on all the time and you'll never notice these things. And that's why functional medicine is such a big part of it, because it's not diagnostic. It's not going to diagnose, treat, or lead to treatment or cures, but it actually looks at the underlying reasons, the imbalances that could lead to all these different symptoms that we then pay attention. It's almost like mainstream medicine is kind of waiting for there to be a fire, something obvious, rather than dealing with the smoke. And so that's what we got to pay attention to as parents. I'm not a parent, but as parents, we got to pay attention to those things, because like the slow problems end up building into these large problems. We're all great at handling emergencies because they're obvious and we pretty much have to at a certain point. But the slow problems are really the things that end up really biting us a lot harder in some regards. So.
Brilliant. Okay, I love that. It's yeah, we often think, wow, this smartphone is going to help us to do everything and make our life easier, but it doesn't always. It can and have a bad effect on us, and we have to sometimes remember that. And sometimes when my son has my phone, I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's a good distraction. It'll keep him occupied for a bit, but it's not good in the long run, is it? And it's yeah, you've got to be really careful with these things. So yeah, so that's good that you answered about the lack of energy, and we discussed before about arthritis as well. Things like arthritis, where there's you can get the why behind that as well.
Yeah. So for you parents listening out there, I was a sick kid. But all of my lab tests that mainstream medicine did were normal. They were all normal, but yet I was also tired. I was a tired kid. I woke up groggy, nauseous in the morning. My bones cracked and creaked, and it was my immune system. These are all like signs of the immune system basically damaging the rest of the body for various different reasons that maybe we'll get into later. But this is also very fatiguing because you have all these environmental exposures and dietary exposures too, because the food we eat can have all these different chemicals in it, and even healthy food we eat, the immune system needs to basically check these foods. So the immune system is going all the time, and then when you're constantly bombarding it with all these chemicals and stress, maybe you're getting into arguments with your spouse or kids, and then you add everything together, then the immune system just is. Some people are just more prone to that type of inflammatory response, and yeah, it just wears you down year by year, day by day, and it's that slow problem that we were just talking about. Just eventually it builds up until you can't ignore it anymore, and you end up either getting sick, going to the hospital, or you end up with like a swollen hand one day, just like suddenly I have like arthritis that's like blown up my hands to 2 or 3 times its size, and you really can't ignore that. So yeah, it's definitely something that people need to invest just a little bit of time. Again, a coach shortcuts your road to success. I absolutely believe that, and it doesn't replace your doctor. I think that's something that I need to say. Like we do different things. Coaches and mainstream doctors do different things. They're great at the 5-minute emergency stuff, but then coaches, you're not in a state of emergency for the rest of your life, and so you need someone to help you really manage or do better at life. We don't learn how to be great at life. We got to learn as we go. So
Oh, brilliant. I love that. Yeah. And it's strange because as parents, people don't realize that arthritis just comes across so quickly. I had it in my early 40s, and I thought, how can I have that in my early 40s when I'm quite fit? But admittedly, I did get it when I was more overweight and eating the wrong things. And when I learnt about it, it was like, oh no, I need to sort it out and stop running and things like that. And but now you can control it if you just you've got to look at the why behind the symptoms. So I love that answer. So the next one that you talked about on one of your podcasts was hormones. Now, a lot of people don't understand hormones and how it can affect your health. So if you could explain that one for people, that'd be fascinating.
okay. Yeah, I find that most people are more sensitive to talking about hormones and your brain. Because if you start thinking like your brain is where a lot of people perceive their personality, their memories, all the things that lets you be you is. Hormones is another one because a lot of men in particular, they don't want to not be masculine, they want to be more, they want to be like the alpha male, they want to like build muscle, I mean, even people who are out of shape, they would love to have that different body. So hormones play a big role in that, and everything you do actually affects your hormones. So the time you eat, the thing you eat, the way you think, it's basically these little messengers that are secreted by different areas of the body, just to keep things nice and simple, to carry out and send different sort of commands, very similar to neurotransmitters, which are like brain hormones. So if you're familiar with how the brain communicates with other parts of the body, it's the same thing with these other chemical messengers, the hormones. Like let's say, when it comes to stress. So how does stress take away from your hormones? Well, the cortisol is kind of a more important hormone because it's like a survival hormone. And when you are constantly getting bombarded by stress signals, your body's going to shuttle more resources to the stress hormone side of. There's like a flow chart that you can probably look up, called the pregnenolone steal, or it might even be called a cortisol steal. Either way, so your body is always preferentially wanting to survive. And so if you're using all your resources just because you're not actually in a survival mode, but you're just constantly in arguments with your spouse. I keep going back to it. If you're in arguments with your spouse and your kids, and work isn't very good, and you're pretty much on edge, you're grinding your teeth at night, then basically your resources, more of those resources, are your nutrients that you take in from your food, is going to be used for cortisol. And then it can even down regulate your thyroid, which is the gland. It's like the metabolism thermostat, right? So the thermostat for your body is your thyroid, in simple terms. And so if that starts to be downregulated, that's not because it's messing up. It's because it's saying, you know what, we need a lot. We're in a bad situation. Let's use less resources and start shutting down. And again, not everyone will have that reaction. So that's why there's like an individual component to everything that needs to be assessed with someone who's willing and trained to spend like an hour with you. And that's why this 5-10 minutes that people have with doctors aren't enough, unless they see a doctor who does like a more concierge coaching model, because we don't learn these things in school. So
Yeah, spot on. Exactly. Because you talked about maths, English, history, geography, but not the essential things you need in life, like how to survive, how to live longer, how to eat properly. It's yeah. So that's a great answer. Thank you. And hormones are so important. And just by sometimes we can just change something. I'll give you an example. Today I had a really bad morning where everything was going wrong, and it was battering with rain here. And I thought, no, I'm still going to do my run, just go outside, get absolutely soaking wet, but get lots of like lovely fresh air and just see the sights, even though it was raining. And it just makes you feel so much better, and just by rebalancing your hormones, and yeah, it just makes you feel so much better, doesn't it? And the hormones are one of those things that we don't really understand, but when we do, it can really help our health improve. So you're brilliant. Thank you for answering that one. The next question, I love this one. I love the article you did on this one about how to have better mental performance, because we all need that. You know, we get that brain lull in the morning. We call it brain fog, where like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then in the afternoon, you're just tired, you're sort of aggy, you need coffee or you need carbs or sugars, and you just feel tired and things. So, and trying to get that mental performance is so important. So if you could just talk about how you think we could improve our mental performance, that'd be great.
Yes. So first, yeah, I want to say to the point that you made earlier is that you didn't have a great morning, but you did what you could do, and I think that's what's important, is not being perfect, but doing what you can do. A lot of people end up throwing away like their whole plan if something goes wrong. And then that's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy where people will definitely get poor results if they throw everything away. So instead, make little tweaks like Chris was doing. He made a little tweak to his day. Maybe he didn't want to run in the rain, but, he kind of ran into it. I'm sure he probably didn't run as much or as fast as he did when it's dry. But anyway, so when it comes to better mental performance, so most people will really just talk about like pushing yourself and basically just like almost like mentally trying to squeeze more performance out of your brain, rather than talking about how can we support the brain. It's like, how can we force it to do what we want to do? And so I don't have that kind of mentality when it comes to other things with health, like the hormones, the immune system, and stuff like that. And so I did a bit of research on how other like top mental performers do, and what I found was they take care of their body, because your brain is part of your body. Last I checked, they're not really disconnected, and if they are, you should have it reconnected. And the brain is supported not only by the nutrients that it gets, but it's also supported by your emotions, your the how well you treat yourself during the day, your activities, all the images that you're taking in. Hopefully you're taking in more positive images, the music you listen to. That's a big one that it's really subtle. So if you listen to a lot of negative music, that'll obviously have more of a negative impact. And, I didn't really think about it growing up with like a lot of negative music. I didn't like, as soon as I took that away, I got a lot more positive, surrounding yourself with more positive people. You wouldn't think that these things are directly contributing to your mental performance, but it does, because everything affects everything. So, and then you also don't want to fight your own biology. So when you're having that brain fog, we also have the same term for brain fog into states. So brain fog isn't just a random thing. It could be linked to food sensitivities, and food sensitivities are not tested for with mainstream medicine because it's a slow problem. When it comes to slow building problems, chronic problems, not really tested for. So when you have these things, these mysterious things that pop out of nowhere, it could have been a food that you ate 2 days ago, or even 3 days ago, 48, 72 hours, that maybe even healthy. Like, so like for example, nuts. Some people don't have an allergy to it, but they have a sensitivity to it. And then the brain fog's actually related to that healthy food that you're having a little bit more than your body would like. We don't get to choose our sensitivities, but we should also identify them. So I don't believe in that whole, push yourself forward, keep pushing and pushing mentality when it comes to fitness or mental performance. And so some things you can do besides like really creating a better environment for yourself socially, and having the support of a coach and learning to communicate, is also meditating and breathing. But a lot of people get really bored from that. So like, what's the non-boring, like entry level thing to do when it comes to breathing and meditating? Is really just to shut yourself away from the world for like 5 minutes and take really deep breaths. And there's this great technique from the Heart Math Institute where it's called heart-centered breathing. So it gives you something to focus on. And you can just put your hand over your heart, and you can just imagine that you're breathing in all the good energy in the world into your heart, and then breathing out, exhaling all the also, good. Let's keep it good. All the good energy is also going out. You're also like putting out that good energy. And then that is, I think, a good kind of holistic answer. You're looking at your biology. You're looking at immune system sensitivities that could be throwing off your thinking. You're in a better environment, because when we're stressed, we don't think very well. So get rid of those stress signals. You can do a digital detox, whatever you want to call it. And probably in that breathing and meditation, which could lead a little bit to more soul searching, which is, I think, an important part that's overlooked, is your spirituality. Even if you don't, like, I grew up kind of like an atheist, and so I didn't go to church. I didn't do any of that stuff. And then eventually, when this whole pandemic hit, like 2019, I realized that that's like a big thing that's missing. Like, I think we all have spirituality, even if we don't want to admit it. And just finding that for yourself is another thing that can bring that clarity to your mental performance. So.
Brilliant. I love that answer. Yeah, because there's so many. I mean, I've written loads of notes on that, and I'll put them in the thing. But yeah, it is so important, because you often don't think about the outside things. And I know what you said about it could be something healthy that you've eaten 48 hours ago, 72 hours ago. And a lot of the time, people blame something from the night before. I get that a lot. People say, "Oh, I felt ill this morning. It must have been something I ate last night or yesterday, or it's affected it." And no, you're right. It could go back further than that. And sometimes you might think, "Oh wow, I'm eating all this healthy food," but it might just be insensitive. I can't say it. Insensitivity, or it could just be something that doesn't agree with you rather than a proper allergy. So that's really useful. And it's great that you related it to when you were young as well, when you were like quite sick as a child, and sometimes the results come back one way, but it's like, well, no, there must be more to that, and we can change our health as we get older. So that's brilliant. Thank you for all of that one. So if our audience want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Yep. Okay. So I have a website, rootslvlwellness.com. My email is Mathew, that's Mathew, at rootlvlwellness.com. And yeah, just shoot me an email, or my information's there on my website, and I'd love to help in any way that I can. Even if it's just like leading someone to another coach. That's what it's about. It's about helping whoever's in front of me, whoever's asking for help.
Sure, brilliant. Okay, that's great, and I'll put your email address and the website address in the chat and send it out to people as well. So that's brilliant, and it's really good to get a different perspective on things. And yeah, it's great, all the things that you've talked about today, and there's some things that I'm going to investigate as well, like the cortisol steal as well. I've not heard that one, so I'm going to Google that one later. But yeah, that's brilliant. So thanks ever so much for your help today. And to the audience, if you want to get in contact with Mathew, please do so, because he's happy to help you. And all us health coaches, at the end of the day, life coaches, we just want to help people. That's our mission in life, to make people live longer, have more energy, and get healthier, because together we can help the world be a better place. And especially at the moment, with so many things going on in our health and immune system, we need to do our bit for the world. So thank you ever so much for that, Mathew, and hopefully we'll have people get in contact with you, and we really appreciate you coming on the show today. So we'll be in contact with you soon.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.